This is the A2 graphing lines video for Y-intercepts. So after watching the X-intercept video, I'm sure you could have guessed by now that a Y-intercept is where a function crosses the Y-axis. Just like an X-intercept is where a function or a line crosses the X-axis. So we are concerned about this vertical axis, also known as the Y-axis, for Y-intercepts. I think that makes sense. Pretty self-explanatory. So for a Y-intercept, we are trying to find where our function, in this case our line, crosses this Y-axis. So if we take a look at this example, we take a look down our Y-axis, and right at this point, our line crosses the Y-axis. So that means our Y-intercept is at Y equals -2. Okay, so notice the x-coordinate at the Y-intercept. Okay, so on the Y-axis we go down 2, but for the x-coordinate we don't go left or right at all. We just stay right on the Y-axis. So that means our x-coordinate is 0. Okay, so pause the video if you need more time. I need to scroll down a little bit. Okay, so let's say I draw a couple more lines here. So let me circle this Y-intercept again. So let's say I have this line right here, and I have this line right here. Okay, I'm going to circle the Y-intercepts. So for this one, we'll call this one line 1. My Y-intercept is at 2. And for this line, I'll call it line 2. My Y-intercept is right here at about 3. Okay, so as I know, the x-coordinate is 0 for my original line. But what about these other lines? So for line 1, the Y-intercept is at Y equals 2. And for line 2, the Y-intercept is at Y equals 3. So what are the x-coordinates at these points? So if we go right up the line here, right up our Y-axis, we're not moving left or right at all. So our x-coordinates at our Y-intercepts are all 0. Okay, and that'll be important a little bit later down the road. Okay, so pause the video if you need more time. So whenever we have a Y-intercept, our x-coordinate will be 0. Now that we know this, let's take a look at a few linear equations in different forms. So, what form is the linear equation in? Okay, so let's go to this one. So it says C and D here. So for C, well, we have our x and our y on the same side, so this must be a standard form equation. Okay, so just like for finding x-intercepts, we set y equal to 0. Since we know our x-coordinate is going to be 0 now, we'll set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So for d, I'll just plug in 0. So 5 times 0 minus 2y equals negative 2. So I do a little bit of math here. 5 times 0 is 0, so I'm left with negative 2y equals negative 2. So if I divide both sides by negative 2, those negative 2's cancel. So y equals negative 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So that is my y-intercept for this equation. I know this line will cross the y-axis at y equals 1. Okay, this next one is in y equals mx plus b form, so it is a slope-intercept form equation. Okay, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. Okay, so I'm trying to solve for y, so I will plug in 0 for my x. So y equals negative 0 minus 4. Okay, so if I simplify that, y equals, well, this negative 1 times 0 is just 0, so I'm left with negative 4. So I know this slope-intercept form equation crosses the y-axis at y equals negative 4. That is my y-intercept. So this last one, some lines get a little separation here. I'm going to do the same exact thing. So first off, this is in point-slope form. Okay, so same process. Y minus 5 equals negative 10 divided by 3 times, instead of x I'm plugging in 0, plus 3. Okay, so if I simplify this, I have y minus 5 equals negative 10 over 3 times 0 plus 3, which is just 3. So again, I'll keep simplifying. I have y minus 5 equals negative 10 over 3 times 3. Well, my 3's could cancel right here. So this equals negative 10. Okay, I'm just going to go up here just due to lack of room. So I have y minus 5 equals negative 10. So to get the y by itself, I will add 5 to both sides. So 5's cancel, so I'm left with y equals negative 10 plus 5, which I know is negative 5. So that is my y-intercept for this point-slope form equation. So at this point, given a graph, you know how to find y-intercept, or the y-intercept for a function. You also know how to find the y-intercept given any linear equation. Okay, so in standard form, you know how to find the y-intercept. Slope-intercept form, you know how to find the y-intercept. And point-slope form, you know how to find the y-intercept. So if you need to see some more examples, please go to the example video for A2 y-intercepts. If you do not need to see any more examples, please go to the y-intercept practice, A, B, or C.